Venado Lopez and his manager and team came out recently and said that his career might be over after the Angelo Leo fight because he has something wrong with his brain right now and has a brain injury he had suffered. And he said a rabbit punch in the fight. I don't know if it was late rounds, had to be. He said a rabbit punch by Leo kind of hurt him in the fight. And they said that the referee they was dealing with was one of the worst referees in the fight game ever. And I was watching two fights back and forth. I kind of came in late. I remember the referee kind of doing some weird things, but couldn't really understand what was going on. I wasn't paying attention to the referee that much. It wasn't as obvious as it was in the Joshua fight, but I remember the referee not being that good. But at the same time, I would have to go back and see if he was talking about some rabbit punches because a lot of these guys, they turn their head a lot of times and end up getting hit in the back of the head. But that's a sad thing to hear, man. He actually suffered a career-ending injury that possibly can happen. Possibly. His career's not over yet, but possibly he can never fight again because of that injury. That's why referees are important. Now, I want to know what the doctors think that caused it. Right now, I'm hearing some things like punch back to the back of the head that possibly happened. And when you're fighting certain guys, they're going to punch regardless. It's not going to stop or slow down for any of these guys. They're not the type of fighters that, especially a guy like Leo, he's not going to go in the ring. He's fighting for the belt, so he's not going to go in the ring and be relaxed and trying to exchange with this guy and wait until he put on this combination and let me throw this. That's not going to be going on. So he was looking for more of the combinations and everything, but I suffered a bad injury, man. Really did. You got to learn how to fight safe. Your defense got to be better. I think Lopez's defense played more of a problem than anything else. And in the inside, turning his head, you know Leo's going to go in there and punch anything he can. And that's what he was doing. Anything he could punch on, he was punching. Was it times that I seen Lopez turn his head? Yeah, it was. It was. Referee could have did a better job, but it was times you turn your head and you end up getting stopped. So that's basically what I seen. But at the same time, if he had an injury like that, that's pretty serious, though. Very serious. That's something that you can't really play around with when it comes to boxing. And it's a lot of people on his team right now thinking about telling him to shut it down for the rest of his career so he can go on and live better. And that knockout he suffered was bad. Like, he went to the hospital because of that. And that was a serious injury. When people seen the knockout, they knew it was serious. There was a lot of people celebrating the upset because they picked the upset. But, man, it was a lot of people that was looking at him crazy because he got knocked out like that. Like, how did you let yourself get in that position? And he usually fights like that. His defense is like that. So I wouldn't say the injury caused him to lose, but it didn't help the situation either. It definitely didn't help, but this is a bad outlook, man. This is a bad sign. This is why you can't play around. And imagine if the guy was on PEDs. This is why you can't play around with the PED conversation. And I heard people in UFC and boxing recently say somebody gonna end up killing somebody in this UFC or boxing, and the guy gonna end up being on PEDs. Watch, and it's gonna happen. And a lot of people gonna have to shut their companies down. They're gonna have to shut them down. So a lot of this stuff that's going on now that I see, these sports won't be around in 10 years. They won't be around in 10 years. Because the way that a lot of these injuries and everything is happening, and it just, guys got chemical imbalance. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to last 10 years. The Olympics already see the future down the line. They like, this ain't looked at as no real sport no more. Ain't nothing fair about boxing. Let's go ahead and just take this out and move on. You seen this year, they got the same countries that have been winning belts, winning more belts this year, so we know how that goes.